I got a pillow. Nice back support.
We're doing podcast over here,
Let's do a little
bro.
podcast. No, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Happy Rabbit podcast. We are so excited to have y'all with us. And today, as a guest, we have my amazing sister, Kelsey. Hi, Kelsey.
Hi.
Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being out here with us. Tell us a quick summary. Give us the Instagram bio. Who are you? What do you do? What's
Introduce yourself.
Introduce yourself.
That's a great, the Instagram bio is a good way to ask that question. It's like, how do I summarize everything?
Give it a quick sentence, you know?
Quick summary, I'm an actor, recently became a filmmaker, and in the last year I've done a lot more focus on like mindset, personal development, spirituality coaching. So I kind of am in this space of like being a multifaceted creative, doing a lot of like artistic things in different capacities. I'm also a singer-songwriter. I've been in LA now for like 5-ish years, but I'm also in Utah a lot. I still work in the Utah film industry a lot. So back and forth quite a bit and excited to be here. That's like a very brief summary about where I'm at now. That doesn't cover anything of where I've been, but that's where we're at this current moment. So I'm glad to be here.
That's so
So
awesome.
are you a Utah native and then moved to LA?
Essentially, so we were raised in Texas. We lived there until I was 17, and then we moved here, and then I guess have been here for
About 10, 11 years now.
a while.
A long time.
So I went to college out here, and then worked out here for a few years before like kind of being in LA.
So where do you consider home?
Here?
Here?
This is
Okay.
definitely home. Yeah, I mean Texas a little bit, but mostly Utah.
I always tell people that, like, I became myself here. I feel like I was kind of like a blob of my former self in Texas, just like development years. Like, I don't know nothing. But like when we moved to Utah, I like became Dakota.
Yeah.
So like for me, Utah is definitely home. That's where like the important changes in my life happened.
Yeah, we went through some like very big changes when we moved here, like in our family. I don't know how much you guys know about this, but like our family kind of fell apart and we came here and like rebuilt from the ground up. So I think that, we kind of stepped into who we are now from Utah, from being in Utah. So
Cool.
That's awesome.
I love Utah.
When you guys moved here, where did you move to in the valley? Was it Salt Lake area or?
I think right when we moved in, we lived with a grandpa,
Yeah.
right, in Murray. In
That's
like
where
a
I lived.
little
That's where I
apartment.
grew up.
You slept
Yeah.
on the couch.
Yeah, I slept on the couch for a few months. That seems to keep happening to me throughout my life.
Did you go to
Dakota.
Hillcrest?
No, I was homeschooled when we were in Texas, actually, which is
Okay.
interesting. So we were in Murray for like a couple months in the summer, and then we ended up living in Provo. So like
Okay.
the first time I ever went to public school was in middle school in Provo, Centennial. So
nice.
that was a whole interesting experience. But yeah, we definitely had some like adjusting to do in our lives. We came here off of like a divorce in the family, and my mom wanted to come back to Utah, Provo specifically, to go to BYU. And so there's kind of like a dynamic there where it's like, cool, it's my first time in public school ever. My mom's now a single mom and she's in college full time. And then you were in high school when you were
I had 1
senior
year.
in high school when I was 8th grade. So you had a year in public school too.
Just one.
And so
That's
it was like
the
massive,
hardest year
massive
to
changes.
move.
My first year of high school ever was my senior year of high school.
Wow,
So I don't
that's
recommend that
crazy.
either.
Yeah.
But
Whoa. Okay, so
That's
you were
nuts.
homeschooled up until your senior year,
yeah.
and then you come in, you're like prom and
Yep.
everything else.
Literally, prom, homecoming. I did not know how to use a locker like that.
Yeah.
It's still the day that
Same.
I left
Still
high
don't.
school. I had
Still
no
don't.
idea how to use my locker. I'd never opened it once.
Crazy.
That's
I was
awesome.
just like, you don't learn these things at home, you know?
I remember having to
So-
learn how to open one of the milk cartons at lunch. You have to like fold it, and I had no idea. It literally took me like a week. And I was like-
Never admit that, Dakota.
Yeah, I just did on a podcast.
You
man.
guys,
too
you
late.
guys ever have problems opening Capri Suns?
You guys ever like, man, I swear they're just so hard, bro. No one ever taught me that.
That's awesome,
real.
actually. I
That's
didn't know
nuts.
that about you.
Yeah, dude, it's true.
Yeah, and we were both doing ballroom dance too.
That's true. Yeah, I think that was like, I mean, we did a lot of acting growing up,
Yeah.
right? We did a lot of like child acting, and you did a movie, Minor Details, that brought us out to Utah. You were like 15 or 16
I was
when we shot
14.
that? 14.
Mm-hmm.
So like we'd been around the camera for a lot of our like earlier lives, but for me personally, I felt like I didn't feel a strong shift into like the performance arts until ballroom. Until we
Interesting.
did ballroom in high school, I never really considered myself like a performer.
I could see that
I
for
thought
you.
of acting as just more like a casual thing we did growing up. But yeah, we grew up as kid actors. That's a massive part about what plays out now.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that's interesting to hear that from you that you're like you became a performer when you did ballroom, whereas I
Yeah.
feel like I mean, I started doing theater at 5 years old, and my mom had me in like talent shows and like runway modeling and like singing as a 5-year-old. So I feel like I've always identified as a performer, but that's cool to hear that ballroom was like the big switch for you.
Yeah.
I did bottom 2.
Did you really?
Not a
Oh.
performer though.
I did it very
that's
casually.
Cool, though.
I was like, just needed to graduate.
Get the credits right.
Oh no, I did dance and cheer and everything growing up.
Really?
That's my big thing for my athletic background in action sports. Was if it wasn't for all of that, I probably wouldn't have much of a base in action sports.
Huh. That's interesting how, like, I feel like when you're in one creative field, they kind of, like, you end up doing multiple, I guess. Like, they kind of blend together. Like, if you're creative, you're just creative, you know?
If you're creative, that's the thing. When I did big mountain snowboarding, I was always like the artsy fartsy guy. And if at the bottom of the hill, I was always like, I'm painting the mountain.
Yeah.
You see the snow in my track, I'm creating art on the mountain. And all the other guys were like, bro,
what is he on, bro?
Yeah, we're like, we're just ripping a snowboard. I'm like, no, it's art.
Yeah.
They're like, but yeah, I totally agree with that. If you're an artist, no matter what field you're in, you're an artist.
Hell yeah.
So YouTube. YouTube.
Oh, did you say YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh.
Your channel.
Oh, I had a very brief stint on YouTube. I haven't done much on YouTube in a while, but like I started doing YouTube in 2018 and I was doing like, my thing was like big sister advice, self-love content, your internet big sis was my tagline. And that was fun until I just realized I don't think I want to be a YouTuber. And so I don't know. I feel like that's the other thing with being like someone who has a lot of passions or creative interests is like I end up like trying a lot of things and some things really stick and some things really don't. Like I figure out pretty quickly what works and what doesn't, and YouTube was one of those things where I was like meh. But I will say that I have a podcast now, so I'm like venturing back into the YouTube world, which is cool. But as far as like, you know, making videos for fun like on YouTube, I just kind of was like, I don't think that's my vibe, but I like this kind of vibe where you get to have conversations with people and then that becomes your YouTube video, you know?
Totally, yeah.
So I see a lot of my friends who are doing like the content game and doing long form content all the time. And I'm like, wow, I have a lot of respect for that because
The vlog hustle.
yeah, that's a lot of work.
So much work.
And a lot of editing. Like,
Yeah.
whoa,
Oh my
you
God.
know?
So much work.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother-in-law did daily vlogs for over 2 years.
Wow.
And he had over 1.5 million subscribers, so he was like die hard in it.
Yeah.
And yeah, just seeing his daily grind on that, I was like, it burned me out from even wanting to try that. I was like, no way.
Yeah. Yeah, you constantly have to like innovate and like outsmart yourself and like, okay, what can I do better than I did the last time? Which is like, I guess, art in general, but especially with YouTube, it's like you're trying to like game your audience and game the algorithm, and I don't know, it's just like
When that becomes your life,
I'm tired.
and then you're basing your life around that, your life becomes like the algorithm, and then it's like, what kind of life are you living?
Totally. And it's like, especially too, because it's so semi-subjective to you on what it is that could improve the video. Is it a better title? Is it a better thumbnail? Is it a better first
You'll
15
chase
seconds?
that dragon
exactly.
for
You're just
ever.
literally knocking your head against a rock, trying to figure out like what was it to make the video get better.
Right.
And you're gonna check the like every single box 100 times before you figure out how to get more views on your video. So it is kind of this like endless cycle that can be really high demand. So yeah, YouTube's definitely
I think
it's
it's
a tricky thing.
interesting to point out too, like as YouTube creators, as we all are now, you have to think about it too. Like for a TV show, you have rooms full of people that are writing content and coming up with stuff, you know. But as like solo YouTube people, like you're the one single person that has to come up with all that stuff,
A to Z. That's
and you
you.
have to do it consistently, like every week, you know. And like it's a lot of freaking work.
That's why
man.
I have more respect for the smaller channels than the bigger channels, because obviously with money and fame you can hire out things and
resources.
Obviously the bigger YouTube channels, they got teams behind them, and
exactly.
everything's pretty much figured out. They're walking in and they're behind the camera. But to that's why I like smaller YouTubers more than the bigger guys, because there's even a point in Sawyer's career where he would just hire everything out and then he would just have a shoot time and show up and just do what they said essentially. So that doesn't sound fun. I like creating.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
that sounds nice.
Because instead of YouTube, you've mostly put a lot of your content on Instagram and TikTok, right? You've kind of dominated that short form space. I think you're probably one of the first people I knew that like realized that there was like money to be made in Instagram. That like you could be an influencer. Brands will pay you money to come and create content for them if you know what you're doing. Like I remember I was coming back from my LDS mission, and I was very disoriented, not really knowing what I wanted to do in life, where I wanted to go direction-wise. And like the same week or like a week after, around that time, whatever, you and Brady got a brand deal with Royal Caribbean
Yes.
to go on a cruise ship and shoot a bunch of content and have all this fun for 4 or 5 days, completely covered. And it was like, for me, I was like, there's potential here. There's like actually
cool.
value in this space. Brands are caring. Brands are putting money and energy into Instagram and into people that are on Instagram. So like, maybe there is value in this. Like, I know I definitely would never have ended up in this world if it wasn't for the strides that you and Brady took way before I ever got involved.
Wow, that's so sweet. Thanks. What an honor. I mean, that is nice about having an older sibling, I guess. I've learned a lot from our older brother, Brady, too. But yeah, I guess I did kind of like, I graduated from BYU in like 2018 and I had a degree in PR, but I quickly realized like, I don't think I was meant to do the 9-to-5 thing. Because I was doing a 9-to-5 like my last semester in college. And I kind of was like, yeah, I think I'm just a creative at heart. Like I always have been. I kind of stopped acting for a while and then came back to it like near the end of college. And all that to say that kind of like graduating from college and realizing like I'm not getting a 9-to-5 like everybody else is kind of was the thing that like made me realize, like how can I do this on my own? Like how can I make this work without having to clock in every day or whatever, you know? And so, yeah, I kind of started to notice like some people were paying attention to some things I had to say. And like some people were like, I don't know, like certain photos were doing really well. That was at the time when Instagram was like mostly photos, you know? Right. But yeah, I just kind of like started growing a following by being myself, which is, you know, I guess the ideal, right? We always want to be ourselves. So that's the goal. And yeah, it started creating some really cool opportunities for like income and, you know, brand deals or whatever. And it's changed a lot. I've pivoted so many times. My brand and my business is completely different now than it was in 2018. But that's like, I think that's the beauty of being on social media and like creating a career around yourself is like, I have people who have been with me for 6 years since I started, you know, and like they've ridden all the waves and all the seasons and all the changes. And I think that's like, yeah, one of the really cool things about doing what we do as artists and creatives is just like people grow with you and they change as you change and like they're here for the journey, you know? So it's cool.
You kind of just answered it, but I have a question for you because I think there's some similarities between kind of your path and my path. And one thing I struggled with was being like a multi-creative was not necessarily finding my like niche and figuring out, because everyone, and that was the biggest thing that like my sister and brother-in-law were like, you gotta find your niche, dude, you're too much. Like you go to your page and it's like, are you doing music videos? Are you a podcast? Are you this? Are you that? And it changes all the time for me, right? As I'm developing and I'm changing and I'm figuring out what I want, which sounds similar to your path. I think when I look in the mirror, though, or I look back at like where I've been in my career, I think my number one, and I've talked to Dakota a few times about this, but like my number one downfall is that I'm almost too much, and I haven't just like dialed in my niche and then gained my following of that niche. Would you say that's something similar that you've gone through, or like what has your journey been like kind of figuring that out?
That's like my favorite question in the world right now because I'm so in this right now where I feel like also saying like one of my biggest challenges my whole life has been the fact that everyone has said niche down, be more specific, pick one thing. And I always felt like something was wrong with me because I couldn't like,
Same.
I'm like, but I love music. Like I'm a songwriter, I'm a singer, but I also like, I'm an actor, but also like now I'm creating stories and I'm making films and I'm an entrepreneur. I've had a business for 6 years now, or like I love to travel. I'm a solo traveler and I love to make content about that. And I always felt like I'm never going to actually make it anywhere if I don't just focus on one thing, which I don't think is 100% incorrect. I think that there's truth to that. Like when we are like super scattered and it's hard to focus on anything, it's hard to make progress. But I have really come to realize and learn in the last like year or less that that's actually not the only way to be a successful creative. And you can build a very like active, fulfilling career through doing multiple things as long as you're consistent with the same like few themes and you weave it together through your story and your journey. Because people like, this is the way I see social media going now too, is that like there was a time when it was all niche focused, like pick your niche, be a travel content creator. All we want to do is see you travel, or like, you know,
prank videographer.
yeah,
I'll just do pranks on people.
But like the truth is we've all been like inundated with social media for like 6, 7, 8 years now, like maybe closer to a decade at this point. Like
I think 2012 or 2015.
Yeah,
I think is when Instagram.
But I feel like the influencer era really started like
2016, 2015 is when people really started making money off Instagram.
Right. And we've all seen so much of it now that it's like, okay, I kind of want something different. Like I'm over just seeing you do one thing. I want to see who you are as a person.
Are you a one-trick pony, or can you do stuff? Yeah.
And so to answer your question, I actually think my biggest challenge was that I didn't figure that out sooner, that it was okay to be like the full facets, like all the facets of who I am, as long as I am weaving it together through a through line and a story and a transformation. And I'm focusing on the same like 5-ish pillars, you know? At this point, it's like my audience knows that when they come to my page, they're going to get like, you know, mindset, personal development, or like spirituality manifestation, or like, you know, creativity as an actor or a filmmaker, or like music. It's one of those in that world. And that like sticking to those themes and then tying it together with my story, people know my journey, whatever, is the way that I personally have like, and a lot of the people that I've been helping have like found how they can kind of blend those passions together and create a career that like supports everything that they want to do without feeling that pressure of like niche down, pick one thing, which we've all been told forever.
No, and I want to piggyback off of something you said there, because I think one thing I figured out over the years was you said like having all your pillars and weaving your pillars, and I'll notice for like 6 months I'll build up one pillar super big and it's like crazy, it's cranking income or whatever that may be, and then like all of a sudden randomly I'll like 180 to this other pillar that's like has no momentum, no money coming in. I'll like try to build this up or do something over here, and then randomly I'll jump over to this pillar that has nothing, try to build that up, and then come back to the one that was already built. And I do this weird kind of like, it's like every 4 to 6 months I like jump ship to a different thing.
Yeah.
And then I think over the last like call it 2 years I've found this pattern that has really been helping me, and that is whenever I feel lost or I don't feel motivated, I find one of those pillars and I dial in on it. And then before I know it, one of my other pillars, because I've been doing these small little things building up these pillars, one of those small little things will kind of like call it take off, and then I'll find like momentum and passion through that. And then because I've been building on those other 4, you have 4 other kind of opportunities that are cooking, and then like one of those takes off, so then I jump from this one to that one, and then I kind of like weave them back and forth. But I think the point that I'm trying to make is there always seems to be a big thing happening in my life, and everyone's like, oh, you're opening up a coffee truck now. Well, I've been working on that coffee truck for the last 1.5 years. More importantly, in that last like 9 months. Now you're just seeing the result of it. And so then like a lot of the things I'm building, like my children's books, the next 2 are coming out here shortly. We just hit Amazon bestseller on 1. We're building up this whole marketing campaign for the 3 books and like doing this thing with it. And when people see it, they're probably going to be like, whoa, where'd you have time? And it's like, I've been building that for the last 2 years. So it's like, that's one thing that I found with my pillars is like, if you stay consistent and like build them, it's not a bad thing.
Exactly.
And actually, it's actually a good thing, because if you're a niche person, you're waiting for that next opportunity in that niche. But if you have like 4 or 5 pillars, you have these other kind of opportunities cooking to where you have your multi-opportunitive.
Yes.
And so, yeah, is that a word?
It is now.
It is now.
But,
Just made it one.
I know Charles laughs. I'm saying something wrong. But no, yeah, and that's something that I'm like seeing more the results of it's been like 6-10 years building some of these pillars, but now I'm kind of starting to see some of the results on them. And I mean, we were just talking about one of our last podcasts, like Freedom Fest, and you asked me like, what was your biggest takeaway? And when I said I like walked into the room and saw all this built, it was like we talked about Happy Rabbit 3-4 years ago and how cool it would be to like have that, and then like to walk into that and see it, it was like made it worth it kind of thing.
Yeah. So your whole team wearing the hats and wearing the lanyards, and you're like, I built this. I helped bring this team to this event.
This was a random idea Charles and I had on set 5-6 years ago of like, wouldn't it be cool if we like talked about film? And then shit, we're on a podcast doing it right now. And people walk in, they go, how do you guys have this? And it's like, this has been manifested for the last 5 years.
Yeah. How'd you get a psych in your basement?
It's like,
I learned how to build it myself, and I've been building it for, it's like.
So yeah, I really like that, and I think that's something, my biggest thing that I beat myself up over, and I'm now come to the realization it's like, no, that's my biggest strength.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Like, you're like speaking my language, because I've been on the same journey. Like, it really took, I think I made this switch like 9 months ago, where I was like, you know what, I think, because another thing I'm really passionate about is that your beliefs like create your reality 100%. Like 95% of your life is created by your subconscious beliefs. And so if I have a subconscious belief that like I will never be successful unless I choose one thing, that's creating my whole reality. And it did for a long time. And it wasn't until I realized, wait a second, like I can change that belief, that that's actually not a weakness. It's my biggest strength. I'm so talented in so many areas, which means I'm an asset to so many fields and so many different like creative things. Like I can throw me on a film set and I can do most jobs, you know, or like throw me into a music studio and I can do most jobs. Like that's kind of like, it's a strength. It's not a weakness. And you become so much more, like you said, opportunistic, if you will, because you're able to pivot so quickly and like you see things so quickly, like, oh, there's an opportunity. And that's like so cool. And the more that I've embraced that about myself, the more I start to find other people who are that way too. And I'm like, oh, crazy. Like this was the problem. I just didn't, like, I just resisted this, you know? We create so much of our own problems sometimes.
We're not the crazy ones. It's the people that do the same thing over and
Exactly.
over.
Rinse and repeat.
I was like, what's the definition of insanity?
Literally putting yourself into a box and just expecting yourself to do the same thing for the rest forever, which, like, you know what, no shade to people who that works for. That really does work for some people. That's super cool. It's just not me. Cannot do that.
I've tried it, and I get burnt out way too quick.
Same.
Yeah, dude. I think one of the things that made like the idea of saying, hey, I am a singer, I am an actor, I am a director, I am a creative, I am an entrepreneur, I am a social media personality, and what I bring to the table is strong and worthwhile and worth your time and energy. In my opinion, the like most beautiful culmination of that inside of your career is Box Boy and Life in a Box.
Yeah.
Kelsey wrote this incredible song called Life in a Box, and it's all about that. It's about the idea that we don't realize the positions we put ourselves in and the boxes that are closed over our heads by our own decision. And that by abandoning those things and looking outside of yourself, you're really capable of so much more than you ever imagined. And it's only because of the limitations that you yourself put on yourself. And so after she made that song, we shot a movie, basically a kind of a plot version of that same idea. And a lot of your content has been themed around that general idea that, like, break out of your boxes, find yourself, push yourself into what is capable, and you'll find so much more freedom, joy, expression, connection, and just momentum in life by accepting the possibilities of who you could become instead of remaining limited by the limitations or boxes you've kept yourself in.
No, I like that.
That's cool.
Retweet.
Tweet it.
Yeah, that was so well put. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, but I mean, Box Boy, obviously, I think that was a huge, making that movie, I think was a huge pivoting point in that becoming part of your brand, becoming part of your, like, ideology in life. So do you want to talk a little bit about Box Boy?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I love Box Boy. It's it's a short film that I made. I guess we filmed it in 2022, and then it just came out last year. We premiered at FilmQuest last fall. And that was cool. But yeah, Box Boy just kind of like came to me. I don't remember if it was like a dream or like a daydream or whatever, but I just kept seeing this like guy with like a box on his head, like living his life in a box. And like everybody around him is living their life in a box. And the whole world is made up of boxes. And I was like, this is such a metaphor for the way that we live sometimes. Like, you know, we put ourselves into these boxes and like the same routine and doing the same thing that everybody else has told us to do because it's the right move or the safe move, the smart move, whatever. Until finally one day we like wake up and realize like, oh wait, I'm not happy. Like maybe this isn't actually what I was meant to do. So yeah, Box Boy, it's a, you know, really in my, you know, view, it's like a profound metaphor for that journey of like realizing you've stuffed yourself into a box in your whole life and then realizing, oh wait, there's actually like another way to be. And so it's a silent film, which is kind of, it's kind of weird, but it's kind of fun, and it's like very artsy, and a lot of really talented Utah filmmakers and artists worked on it. Dakota was our first AC, crushed it.
I'll never be as good as Scooter, but I'll try my best.
Yeah, you did a
Gotta
great
keep it
job.
sharp, baby.
Gotta keep it sharp.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was a labor of love. And then yeah, we're in the festival circuit now, and probably do. It's. I think we're gonna be. Well, I don't know if I should talk about it yet, but there's some sort of thing that may be
opportunities
coming
on the
up this
horizon.
fall for Box Boy, so that's kind of cool. And it was, for me as an artist, a really cool way to tie together all of my song as a post-credit song and stuff like that. So it's just kind of a fun way to tie all of my things
Your
together.
IP, your brand,
Yeah,
your
I don't know.
image, what you represent.
All the
That's
things
cool.
I care about.
No,
Is there anywhere that people can watch it, or while it's in the
mean-
festival circuit, probably not? But what about your music? Is
Yeah, it's
is
like
the song out?
it's on a private Vimeo link, but yeah, it's not a.
Everyone blow up her DM.
Yeah.
Give me the box.
That's
boy.
true. If you DM me up, maybe I'll send it to you. And the password. But yeah, and my music, it's all on Spotify and stuff. It's called Kelsey Edwards. We were actually talking about doing a music video
That's true.
somewhat soon, which would blend parts of Box Boy with Life in a Box because they're kind of go together. So then there'd be a version of it that would be accessible.
Cool.
But yeah,
That's really cool.
thanks. It was fun. It's like very.
Is
passionate.
Box Boy your favorite song you've done?
Yeah, so sorry, Box Boy is the film and then Life in a Box is the song. And I think it is like that song really, I've released other music, but for some reason that song really resonated with people on a very personal level. It's very like strongly about my journey, kind of like the faith transition that I had been through in the last few years. And I think it was maybe the most authentic and vulnerable that I've showed up in my art just yet. And I think there was something about that like people were like, wait, like if this, I see this and I feel this, kind of felt like a journal entry, you know. People really, that's the other thing I've learned, is that authenticity and vulnerability within your art is going to resonate like with people much more than ever this like perfectly painted version of you that we've been taught to give on social media. So
Yeah, social media is doing some weird things. The crafting the perfect image and the perfect scenario with the perfect shot and the perfect. Everyone's definitely starting to revert back to our old ways.
yeah, we're tired of it.
We're tired of the 6K crispy shots and perfectly lit, and everyone's buying a cheap disposable film camera and just reverting back to just simple freaking photos of your friends. Like,
True that. Yeah.
it's interesting.
It's true. It's interesting too. Then like I don't want to say dependent, because we're not dependent on anything. We're independent people that can create money and wealth and means from whatever opportunities arise. I think that's something beautiful about being a creative. However, when you've spent time, energy, money investing in a specific platform, let's call it Instagram, and Instagram makes like very specific changes to what they promote and what they want to see, you gotta decide whether you're gonna go with the tides or not. Right? They used to really, really promote live. If people are doing Instagram lives, they're like, yep, right on the front page, buddy. Now they want you doing reels. If you're not doing reels, you're not getting promoted. So it's like when we are built into these systems, you have to like find ways to pivot with what's hot, but still do it in a way that's true to you. And I just think that's one of the most complicated things about social media.
I'm just trying to word in my brain how I want to say this, but I think like with social media right now, we're in this weird thing where everybody, I shouldn't say everyone, most creatives are contouring their niche or their take on it to mold to what they think everything is, when social media started with the uniqueness. But now we're like peeling back all the layers of the uniqueness to what works, because everyone wants what works, and we're putting this like perfection over it. Kind of jump back to what we were talking about with like DPs having still shots on their Instagram.
Yeah.
That perfectionist look. You go to my Instagram and it's 30 unique, cool looking shots, and I'm a DP, and it's like, if we continue to like mold ourselves to what Instagram wants and what social media wants, then eventually everyone's just going to be carbon copies of each other, which is kind of why we started social media, which is to show personality and outside of the copy and paste. But now we're kind of like reverting back to being that, because we're all copying each other, and it's like it's this weird pattern.
Well, it's money. The second you inject money into like anything, all of a sudden it's like everybody wants to be on board and be doing it. And now it's,
And if it worked for you, I'll copy, and then I get money too.
exactly,
Yeah.
you know, but now it's not dictated by like people watching your content. Now it's dictated by the company and what their AI algorithms are coming up with, and
Did you see
how to make more money.
You see the video of the husband and wife laying in bed together, and they pull up the same reel, and they have different comments on the reel. So husband and wife right next to each other, same video, and the algorithm is changing the comments per person to make you more engaged into that video.
They know he's rage bait reactive, and they know she's more like sad reactive
Yep.
or whatever. So it just pushes that type of comments
Yep.
to keep her on the platform.
So now,
crazy.
so not
I know,
only
that was
are we
good.
not only are we being pushed what we're seeing,
Yeah.
now we're being pushed by the
Or even
commentary.
Yeah.
So now there's not even raw commentary on, which used to be the idea of comments
Right.
and likes, is people giving feedback. Now we're not even seeing real feedback.
Right.
So when you go to a post and you're like, I want to see what people think of this, and you scroll down, no, you're getting what AI wants you to read of what people are thinking of this. So you're not even getting a real perspective.
Or what AI wants the bot comments that got written for you to read about this. Yeah, maybe you're not even reading AI pushing you a person's thoughts. You might be reading AI pushing you another robot's thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
That's what's scary.
great.
And when that influences us,
Yeah.
and that's our influence, and that's what, call it, the younger generation's looking up to,
Yeah.
that's scary.
Yeah.
Because now they're not looking up to, like, call it we the people,
Right.
but now they're not looking up to the community.
Right.
Now they're looking up to what algorithms are pushing.
Yeah.
And that's molding their minds. It's a scary thought.
And it's all to make money. It's also that Meta can make more money. That's why they get you to be verified, right? You have to pay whatever a month now, right?
10 or
So
15,
they're
I think.
making money off of your content already, and then they're making money off of you now because you have to be verified if you want to be, right? And then in order to like for you to benefit off of being verified, you have to be making more content.
Or,
So, like-
or paying money to boost that content.
Yeah,
make
to
sure it gets in front of the
justify
right eyes.
paying that stuff. And so it's like this weird backwards thinking that they're trying to push on us that like you have to be verified, but it's also that they can make more money off of content that you're creating,
You're already making.
and you're just using their platform for it to get out there, which is kind of why I don't really like social media. But
Yeah.
I'm fading off of it hard.
Yeah.
I'm finding very little. Like, the more my career is going outside of social, because I used to be purely social based. That was my career, and like any income. But now I'm at the point in my life where like income isn't based off of an Instagram post or a company paying me for XYZ. I genuinely have like zero or any motivation to find myself on a platform where I'm like it's weird. I don't see myself like wanting to go out and make an Instagram post. It's fading, and I don't think I'm the only one.
outside of YouTube,
What do you mean?
YouTube's a little different. 'Cause
Well,
we have
like this-
podcasts and we have shows,
YouTube's
you know.
kind of its own
Yeah,
world.
I guess that's not like necessarily what I'm saying. Is like,
Scooter
if-
doesn't want to cut up a reel of all of his best work and throw it on Instagram
Yeah.
right now.
Right.
It's
I
not
have
what you're
zero
up to.
motivation.
Right.
Like, we just finished 5 different jobs. I've posted none of them on social.
Yeah.
Could it get me more work? Probably. Will it show people what I'm working on? Probably. But like, I'm at the point in my life or career where like I don't feel a need to like show people that I'm working, or like, here, look at me on set. It's like, and we're working on some other stuff of like a clean website and other like things that people can go to see what Happy Rabbit does. But I'm not at a point where I'm like, Scooter Cooper filming on a set, look at me on set. And it's like,
Building the personal brand isn't really a priority right now.
no, like I even told my wife this, now that Happy Rabbits get more established and everything, I could care less about really like anything Scooter Cooper or like my platform, as long as Happy Rabbit's growing and we're doing stuff under Happy Rabbit. And now I get it why like business owners or CEOs or whatever don't even have socials, and all they care about is just like getting their company, and then they have their own personal life. And like, now that I'm separating myself from it, I'm like, oh, you can have everyone doesn't need to know what you do in your own life. Like, you don't need to show your life on social media.
Yeah.
It's not that crazy of a thought, and you don't have to make money on it. And like, that's where my mind's going, because that was my reality.
Totally.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not the only way to live life or be a creative or have a business. You know, it's a way,
For
but it's
sure.
not the only way.
Yeah.
So,
Which I think forever it was told to us: views,
Yeah.
money,
right.
brand deals, money. And it's like, no, you can be a creative with not 10 million followers in multiple niches and still make a career. And
Yeah,
live.
exactly. Yeah, well, and I don't know, there's something about like like always having to keep up with an algorithm, always having to keep up with like, oh, what are the views, what are the comments, you know, that like feels quite exhausting. You know, I just like, especially like if your source of income is like brand deals, like that matters more than almost anything. It's like, how many views am I getting, how many comments am I getting? Whereas like if you can use social media in a different way or not use it at all, then you don't have to worry about any of that, and it can just be kind of like for me, I mostly use it to like educate, connect, like find clients or like find, you know, like customers for my business or whatever, tell my story. But I'm not like, I don't do really brand deals anymore. I don't really, it's not like, hey guys, buy this, you know, lotion or whatever. Like I don't have any interest in doing that either.
The sales pitchy got too sales pitchy. Like
yeah.
I get cringy when I see one of my buddies posting something like that now, because
Yeah.
I used to be that person where I was like, Pure Canna CBD, buy this, da 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 da
Right.
da, and it's like use my promo code and all that crap. And like now when I see it, I literally like literally cringe. And then when I see someone, this is the worst though, when you see someone growing on social, and then when they hit that point, and you always know there's that point,
Sell out. Almost.
because it goes from, and I'm gonna call him out, but there's this outdoorsy guy that I follow named Cole, and he was so awesome. Like I legitimately saw his content, I was like, this is good stuff, I want to consume it. And then now he just posted on his page, it was actually like yesterday, he was like, guys, if you're looking to make money online through cryptocurrency, and I was like, you're done, dude.
Like,
And
bro,
I
hit with that
unfollowed
Alpha
him.
Greens ad before you do
All
that.
that. Well, that just made me, because he got an email. Someone was like, I'll pay you $5,000 if you post it. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'll post this on your story, da 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 da. And then he did it. And like, it felt so sellouty. I unfollowed him. I was like, this is what I'm trying to get away from in my life right now.
The worst is when they catch you on the back end. You'll like watch the content. You'll be like, this is super nice. This is super genuine. And he's like, go ahead and comment the word hike down in the comments, and I'll DM you a free template guide for how to plan your next hike. You're like, wait, what the, like, it like becomes a thing at the end of it, like a dog commercial, like the Sarah McLachlan, you know, like it just pitches right at the end. You're like, wait, what? Like,
And so my question is, as people are feeling this way, and as the minds are changing on social media, what advice do you have for people in this world and influencers to work with that niche, to not have that or the new waves work against them? Like, how do you go with the flow and with the changes? Does that make sense?
I think so. Yeah, I think I understand. Like, I mean, I think the biggest thing, and this is like what I preach in my life, but especially on social media, is just like the authenticity factor. Is that it's kind of like what you just described. It's like you saw a shift from somebody being authentically themselves to then all of a sudden being like, how can I make money? Which, by the way, to clarify, making money on social media is not a bad thing. And it's okay if you have a skill or a talent or something you can offer people and people want to pay you for it. There's nothing wrong with that. And just because it doesn't work for all of us, but it's, you know, it's a way to have a business, and that's fine. But I think the important like distinction is to like keep the humanity behind it and not lose the who you are, because at the end of the day, people don't want to buy anything from like a robot. You know, it's like people want to see you, they want to connect with you, they want to know you as a person, and if you can also help them, cool, what a bonus, you know. But when it like becomes strictly about like making money or, you know, selling a product or selling a crypto or whatever, it's like, yeah, well, nobody wants that anymore. Like, I don't want to get sold to, like, every time I get on Instagram. So I think it's about finding the balance, and I think it's about keeping the humanity of it, honoring who you are. And also, like, this is something I've been working on, honestly, in my own, like, social media presence in my business, is I've completely transitioned. And, like, I was doing the big sis thing, and now I'm not. I'm focusing much more on mindset, personal development, spirituality, multi-passionate creativity. Is like, how do I keep the humanity of like who I am while still talking about these things that I'm so passionate about? And one of the big things for me is just like asking people like, hey, why are you here? Like, why did you come here in the first place? So that I make sure I don't lose that while I'm like finding and navigating a new path of like,
so just cutting through the bullshit and being like, hey, why are you guys following me?
Yeah.
Like, what are you here to learn from?
Yeah.
Which I think, you know, a lot of people are afraid just to ask the question.
Yeah. Well, it's because sometimes you're afraid you won't like the answer, you know? And it's like, the truth is some people don't really care about what I have to say. That's true. And that's fine. Like, that's fine. I don't need everyone to like what I have to say. Some people are just here to like watch whatever I'm doing. That's fine. But yeah, I think it's helpful to just like have that one-on-one dialogue. I'm super open about the things that I'm struggling with, or like problems I have, or like, hey, I'm like dealing with anxiety, or, you know, I'm struggling with this like limiting belief that's coming up for me a lot, or like, you know, I think one of my big things is just being really transparent with my audience too, so that it never feels like I'm putting on a front or pretending to be somebody I'm not, or like I have things figured out that I don't, you know. Just being really honest.
That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Everyone's perfect life.
No, yeah, definitely not perfect over here.
I know that was a Kelsey question, but I do have a small answer that I think benefits ways that I've seen other people navigate it that I didn't feel turned off by. There's this podcast I really like called 3 a.m. They mostly tell like scary stories. But like they'll do an ad read in the middle of it, and they'll be talking about like BetterHelp, right? The online like therapy service. And instead of just being like, you need therapy, go to betterhelp.com, blah, 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 whatever. They like try and play it into the niche. They're like, oh, are you getting chased by like the Hat Man, like a scary figure or whatever? They're like, then you need to talk to BetterHelp. And then it starts with a personal review. He's like, I've been on with my BetterHelp therapist for like 3 years. And honestly, they really helped me get out of a dark place. So maybe that'd be a good fit. Like, it's the personal touch, even with the brands that they're sponsoring. It's still like, how did I intersect with this brand in a way that was meaningful to me and that I think could be meaningful to you? And doing it without the dollar involvement. Just being like, this is something that really worked.
I was about to say, one thing I will shout out Sawyer for is his ability to integrate brands with his videos without knowing they're integrated.
That's awesome.
That's
And
so
I
good.
was like,
That's
it's
everything.
one thing I learned from him that was pretty damn cool was, and sometimes he goes full like Dell laptop, and it's like, okay, that's a Dell
the
ad.
Bill Mays and the OxyClean.
Yeah,
kinda,
it's like, there's some of his videos that are that for sure, but there are so many things within his videos that he does that's like hidden brand deals, and that's where I like really like is if I'm watching a YouTube video and he's using a certain fishing ploy, like I don't want him to be like, get tackle reels and da 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 da. I just want to watch him and be like, that looks like a really cool pull, and like almost pause the video, zoom in on it. What brand is that?
It was your discovery moment.
And then go look it up on Amazon. Even though he's probably getting paid to use that, whatever, I kind of want to discover it on my own. And that's something I've found that I really like is when people aren't so much like in your face, but it's like they're kind of hiding it. And it's like, what coffee is he drinking?
Is that Coop's,
Yeah.
Coop's coffee?
Yeah,
shop?
what is
Yeah,
over
yeah.
there? No, it's Beans and Brews, not Coop's coffee. I drink other people's coffee.
I like how you have a coffee truck, like everything at your disposal, and then you still go down the street.
I gotta support.
He's like, I can't waste my own cup. Those are for my customers.
I gotta
That's so
support
funny.
other local businesses before we put them out of business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Valid.
Oh no, that'd be awesome.
That's great.
I don't know. I just like finding it now. I like it to not feel pushed upon me, and like for me to do the research, even though it's probably placed there
Queued up for that,
perfectly.
yeah.
Like, yeah, it's my thing.
Yeah. I think that requires like trusting your audience too, though. Like trusting that people are smart.
Yeah.
Sometimes we forget, like people are really smart, especially now. Like,
I think we forget that people, if they want something, they can figure it out.
right,
Yeah.
right.
You don't need a handhold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which also requires, I mean, to be fair, requires the brand to know that people are smart too. Because sometimes you have brands that are like, no, you must like push it in their faces
Right. You have
because
1
they
minute
don't
and you have a
think.
script. You have to say in
Yeah.
the middle of your brand deal, you're not getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really requires everybody to recognize that like consumers now, social people on social media, we are smart and we're so much more like aware than we've ever been. We know when we're being sold to, we know when we're being lied to, like we know when people are putting on a front, and like you have to know who you're working with. You have to know that people, in order to be able to justify like having that kind of a subtle
Integration
thing.
like
Yeah.
that.
Like more companies I think could benefit from just trusting consumers and knowing that like we're smart people, you know?
Totally.
No, for sure.
So what, Kelsey, what project, or are you on a film right now, or music? Like, what are you doing right now? What are you working on?
Yeah. So not currently working on a film, but would love to. I'm open. But I'm writing a few things right now. I'm doing like a short form comedy series that I'm writing with a friend of mine that I'm actually really excited about. That'll be really fun. And we're hoping to, I mean, we're in the writing process right now, so it'll probably be a few months till we're like in, you know, any sort of like pre-production phase, but it'll definitely be something that we're doing before the end of the year.
Are you guys gonna be shooting it yourselves, or are you gonna try to sell it?
Well, I'm like, how much can I say without, I don't know,
Don't
like,
get yourself in any trouble.
yeah, exactly. We are writing it with the plan to make it, with the plan to sell it.
Nice.
But yeah, we're starting. Our strategy is a little bit different, which is that we're using social media first, and that's kind of like gaining our proof of concept essentially. So, so yeah, that'll be cool, and it's I don't want to give away too much, but it's a concept that we already know works really well based on some other factors, and yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that.
I'm excited to see what you guys do.
That'll be fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
And then, so that's like one of my number one focuses right now. I'm also writing a post-apocalyptic TV series that'll be a little bit more of a long-term thing.
Cool. Yeah.
But yeah,
Did you watch Fallout?
I started watching it. Yeah, I should get back to it. You
Shit,
actually
Fallout's pretty good.
put me
That's
onto
really
it.
good, yeah.
I was like,
Good.
Fallout
Yeah.
is damn good. The way they
Yeah.
shot it and the acting and
Just the energy.
cinematography and
Yeah.
The energy of that post-apocalypse is like
How-
so different, so vibrant compared
Totally.
to anything else you see.
how
Yeah.
easily they could have botched it and ruined that whole
Like
thing.
a very valuable IP that lots of people love. Yeah.
Not only that, what was the thing that came out? Among Us they crushed, but before that there was one that came out that was just horrible. Maybe it was based not One Piece or One Punch.
One Piece.
Well, the
One
Netflix
Piece.
show.
Yeah,
One Piece?
something
Yeah,
came
yeah.
out that everyone was like they ruined it.
Yeah.
Was it Avatar? Last Airbender?
Oh no, they did do an Avatar show.
They did an
Yeah,
Avatar
and it was
TV
not
show.
very
It was
good.
not
It was
good.
not good at
Something
all.
came
There's
out
been
though
several,
recently
yeah.
though that they were like, nope, they should never have done that. But
Yeah. Oh,
they-
the Halo. Was it the Halo,
Halo.
show?
Halo,
the
that's what it
show.
was.
Oh,
That's
is
what
that
it
not
was.
good? I didn't
Horrible.
see it.
Really bad.
Mm.
Really
Halo,
bad.
horrible.
I'll be honest, because I'm a huge Halo fan. The first season wasn't that great.
Yeah.
Second season was dope.
Okay.
They brought
They
it back.
picked back up.
They
Okay.
brought it back into like
I
the
didn't
Halo,
get-
the Halo universe.
I gave it like 2 episodes and I was like, this is garbage.
Yeah, the first
Oh,
season
wow.
was not very
That
good,
bad.
but
Yeah.
they had to build up. You know, they were trying to do all the backstory and stuff. I got
You're just a Halo fan.
But I mean,
I'm a Halo
video
fan.
game IP has been very 50-50. You
It
got
is.
Last of Us, you got Fallout, like
Yeah.
banger,
So
so
good.
good. The Last of Us, I think, was one of the best TV shows that's come out of the last few years.
I agree.
But then you get Halo, and you get some of these
Yeah.
other projects that are like not as polished, and so I don't know. It's
But
Post-apocalypse.
post-apocalyptic, you should definitely watch. It could give you some ideas. It's cool.
That's good to know. Yeah, I think I watched the first 2 episodes and then I got distracted with a different series. But that happens a lot.
You're one of those.
I'm so bad. Oh my
You're
gosh.
one of
A
those.
show really has to grip me for me to
Yeah.
finish it, and not to say that it didn't, but I don't know. I just need
if it
to.
didn't do it for you, it didn't do it. For
I'm
you.
crazy. If I start a series, I can't watch something else until I finish. Even if it's like 6 seasons, like I can't jump
You
show.
can't jump ship.
Really?
My brain can't handle it.
Oh,
Like
wow.
I can't think of that many things.
Mm.
I'm like, what
Dude,
character
I'm
was in
watching
what
like
show?
5 TV shows right now or whatever.
Wow.
Of
Got-
course you.
I always
are.
got like different things. It's like books. Like I'm listening to like 3 or 4 different books.
Yeah, that's fair.
Two-
You just
You
got
know,
different
like-
spots and different stories
oh,
all happening
yeah.
at the same
See,
time.
I
Like, okay,
can't-
so Steve is got caught in the walls and the spikes, and Sam over here in this story, he's doing this.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. I can't like read a book and like watch a series at the same time. Like
Yeah,
my
you have to
brain's
engage
thinking
in
too
one
many
story
stories.
fully until it's over.
Yes.
I respect that. I think there's something to be said for that.
I think that's kind of funny though when you given everything else we've talked about this whole episode.
Yeah, I know, right?
I have
Well,
way
one
too
thing, man,
many.
just one
I
thing.
gotta do all these things, and I just the show though.
One story at a
Look,
time. Okay, one
okay,
story.
I got too many things. That's the one thing in my life that I keep very simple.
I don't really get it, but okay.
My entertainment. All right.
So as an actor or a writer, like what are your favorite kind of things? Like what's the type of shows that you want to be in, or what are the type of things that you want to write about? Because you're doing a pop clip show and like also a comedy. So like, what's like your range or like what's your scope?
That's a great question. I mean, well, actually, what's funny, the reason I started making these things is because I was like, well, this is what I want to do. Like, my dream role is to, like an Ellie character from The Last of Us, or like a Katniss Everdeen from Hunger Games. I was like, what is she from?
The Katniss show.
You know, that girl. I don't know. I feel like people don't typically see me in that type of role, which is why I want to create it, and I want to put myself in that world. I've been training in Muay Thai like very consistently for like 6 months probably. So I've been like, I'm like, you know what? If I want to play this kind of world, I have to know how to do it. Like I have to be able to like, you know, be convincing on
Move
camera
like
that I know how to,
Yeah.
you know, throw a punch or whatever. So yeah, if I like my dream would be post-apocalyptic series, which is why I'm writing it. Cause I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? An opportunity may come along in the meantime where I'm cast as that, but if not, like I'll make it myself anyway. So that's fine. And then, yeah, I really I love the Hacks style comedy. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Hacks, but like that, like slice of life, just like clever comedy. I'm like such a big fan of. So I would love to play like a character like that, which is again why I'm writing something like it.
Totally,
I don't know.
yeah.
I've been acting for so long, and I've had so many rejections and so many no's, and so many times I've been passed over, which is fine. It's a part of the job. But I don't really love just sitting around and like waiting for someone to pick me anymore, you know? And
100%.
so yeah, that's kind of like how I started doing more filmmaking anyways, and then why I've continued it is like,
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, it's something that we need to point out is like, as an actor, or like if you want to be a director, or you know, almost any kind of thing, you need to almost associate yourself with other people that want to like do those same passions, and then you work together on creating something. You know, because I mean, I've been a part of a million like independent feature films, or like, you know, I've been a part of like writing teams, or you know, or I have friends that write, because I don't write. I'm a camera person, right? But like I've associated myself with those that do write, so that way I can have opportunities to film something.
You're in the proximity of that when it happens.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and so you have to almost like make friends with other people that want to like learn and grow and do the same thing you do, to give yourself the opportunities to act in the shows that you want to be in.
yeah.
I want to second that, as well as I want to be a director. My call it 15, 20-year goal is direct. But I'm not stupid to know that you can't just come in as a young buck in the industry and say, I'm going to direct feature films, or I'm going to direct a movie. And then even more so, unless you've actually directed a movie, no one hires you to direct a movie.
Yeah.
And to direct a movie, essentially, you need to write your own movie, get your own funding, and make your own movie, and show people that you can direct a movie.
Exactly.
For anyone's going to give you $500,000 to $10 million to go make your own.
Yep.
So that was one thing that, like, my biggest coming to is, like, kind of the build it, they'll come.
Yeah.
Is like, screw it. If I don't have the opportunity, I'll make it for myself. And that's essentially what all this has been, is like, if they don't want it, I'll show them I can do it, and then they'll hire me for the next one. And, like,
Exactly.
that's really, at least in film, what I found to be the most proven concept of, like, success is, like, if you don't have the opportunity, build it for yourself, and then watch how many people jump all over that.
Yeah, they gravitate towards that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy the amount of opportunities that it creates when you just create it yourself first.
Yeah.
You know, I got to work on a TV series last year where our showrunner, I mean, that's essentially what he did. Like, he found funding, wrote an entire season of a show, we made it completely independently. Like, I got to help produce it and act in it, which was really like a cool blend of things for me. And then he sold it to like multiple like networks, and now it's, you know, it's multiple places. And
What's the name of it?
It's called Underdeveloped.
Is this Evans?
No, the showrunner is Brian Metcalf.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because my
who
buddy
is.
Evan, now I'm losing his last name. Evan Moore? Guy
Yeah.
we got the Ronin from.
I know Evan.
Oh,
Moore.
yeah. Evan Elmore.
Yeah. He did something similar where
Oh,
he wrote
cool.
a comedy series. Him and the actors got together, and they're going out to LA. They're shooting this thing. Landon was with them. And then they filmed like 3 or 2 seasons of this, like quite a bit self-funding. And then it got picked up, and like he's actually like, they're selling it.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
That's
great.
Yeah.
And I like,
Now.
I'm not
Great.
gonna lie, 3 years ago when he was telling me this, like when we were first looking at the Ronin, I was like, it's a pretty wild concept, dude. Like, you're just gonna fly out to
Just gonna
LA
do it?
with you. You're gonna pay for Landon to go out there. You guys are gonna be out there for a week. You're gonna film a series with this other couple. You're gonna do that for like multiple times, and they went out there maybe 10, 15 times over the last 2 years, all for
Here it
free to do it. And then here it is. Like, now they sold it, and I know they're making great.
That's
doing
awesome.
it.
Dude, that's
And so I was like,
Yeah.
that's like
It's
what
the
it's
way.
about,
Right?
right?
It's like
100% deserved.
indie TV is the new indie film.
Yeah.
You just gotta make it, and then yeah, I don't know. I'm all that to say, I'm a huge proponent of like, yeah, just taking our own opportunities. And my point with that is that it also, like, Brian is now like getting so many other opportunities to be a showrunner, and it also opened other opportunities for me to produce other things and like
Awesome.
act in other things. It got me into the TV Academy, you know, because I was like, wow, this is actually really cool when you just do it. And you like, and you know, I had to pitch myself to be a part of that. Like, I think that's the other thing is you have to be pretty bold and like pitching yourself for opportunities that you feel like you're a fit for. And
not afraid of rejection either.
I was
'cause you're
about
gonna
to
deal with
say,
so
I'll
much
get
of
told
that.
no a lot. Like, I'll pitch myself for something and they're like, nah. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But it doesn't, like, I usually don't take it personally. You keep, you keep pitching, you keep doing it, you keep going after it. And then maintaining this energy of like detachment. Like, I'll pitch myself for something I feel like I'm a good fit for, but the truth is I don't need it. Like, I don't need any of this. I'll figure it out on my own either way. And that type of like energy, I think, is what really creates opportunities and like magnetism in a career like this. So,
I mean, yeah, if you look left and right, everybody who is making steps or moves in the entertainment world are the people that are like putting themselves out there, are taking those risks and opportunities. At least from what I've experienced, no one who's making strides and successful in this world is getting it handed to them or getting it offered to them or just like having a situation kind of put in their lap
right.
for the most part. I'd say at least 90% of everyone's like creating it for themselves, and then their things are manifesting off of that.
I agree.
And we live in like the golden age for that. There's never been as many streaming platforms as there is now, right? There's like literally there's more places for your stuff to go and be received by other people than there ever has been.
I think Charles
Kinda.
was saying that,
Kind of getting reduced a little bit, but for the
Yeah.
most part, yeah.
but it's gonna have this because we
Yeah.
saw this.
Mhm.
We haven't even hit a this yet, and then let alone it's gonna
Let
have to
alone back
have a
this
few
again,
of
yeah.
these. And I think it was you telling me that, maybe it was you or Cope. We haven't even hit or come close to hitting the number of influencers, YouTube channels, and streaming platforms. Like, was it you telling me this? It was like a crazy number. We're at like, whatever, 800,000 creators on YouTube, probably more or something. And they're like suggesting by like 2035 that there was going to be like 2.5 million. Like the numbers are just going to like keep growing essentially.
Wow.
Now how that plays out in platform base, I don't know.
Right.
But like, and maybe they're only using that on the statistics of 2012 till now.
Right. They're taking the
Like-
growth percentage they have had and just applying that to the future.
Maybe,
Right,
yeah,
potentially, yeah.
But what I read or whoever told me that, it was like that we're not even at the cusp of it yet. Like we're just
still on the come up.
entering like
Interesting.
whatever this world is, which I kind of agree with. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe we're at the peak. Maybe we're at the beginning.
I think there's this wonderful duality because you mentioned many people on social media are tired of the current formula, right? We're tired of the rinse and repeat. We're tired of the lack of authenticity. We're tired of just viral content for the sake of it's viral, so you gotta watch it. Like that's not interesting anymore. We're tired of that. But like at the same time, we also have been in this like habit. People are habitually attracted to their phones and their algorithms and their TikTok or their Instagram or whatever they're into. They sit down, use the bathroom, their phones are in their hand before they even think about it, right? Like we're just so dialed in to do that.
True.
That like you are right where we are at kind of this new age, this new opportunity. Like there is a demand for freshness, while there's also the same feeling of like what we have is dated. And so seeing where that goes and seeing what transforms from this point forward does make me think we're kind of at the start of a cusp. We're at the beginning or just hitting the cruising point into redefining what we do here.
What tells me is the reason why we all went to streaming platforms was to get away from commercials, to
Yeah.
get away from the push, right?
Yeah.
The media
Corporate
push.
hand, yeah.
Corporate hand. On Hulu, Amazon,
Right back there.
Disney.
Netflix, Disney, we're right back to ads.
Yep.
Unless you pay more.
Mhm.
And so like we're right back into it. We've gone full circle.
Yeah.
We're now the ads are now right back onto Hulu.
So where do we go now?
Where do we
Yeah.
go now? And that's awesome. It's interesting. I'm here for it.
It's like cat and mouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Kelsey, what was your drive to go to LA?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I felt like I had worked in this industry in Utah for like a while. I kind of was doing it, I don't know, ever since I got out of college. It was like maybe 5 years on and off. And I just kind of reached a place where when we were actors as kids, we also lived out in LA. So we would go out for pilot seasons as like, I think I was 10. You were probably like, what? 7 or 8. Yeah. We'd go out to pilot seasons a lot. And I kind of fell in love with LA as a kid because of that. And I kind of reached a point here where I felt like I was doing a lot of commercials. I was doing a lot of industrials. I was doing a lot of like teleprompter spokesperson type stuff,
For sure.
which is cool. But I was like, you know what? Like the roles that I want are casting out of LA. Like everything films here, but like, you know, you're not getting like the leads out here. Like it's like still a supporting or day player, whatever type roles that are casting out of Utah. And the lead roles are still coming out of LA. So I feel like it was kind of an opportunity for me to like basically start over and like be at the floor again of like my career. I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to be in a place in an industry where nobody knew my name, nobody knew who I was, nobody had seen anything I'd ever done, and like, you know, yeah, just like, okay, cool, what can I make of myself out here, you know? And so it was an opportunity to challenge myself, to create more opportunities for myself, and yeah, just like throw myself fully into this this career path. So yeah, and like I love it. There's things about it I don't love. There's things about it I do love. I love that I still have my tie to Utah. Like that's I would never leave, you know, that. Like I love being able to come back here and work here. But yeah, it's also really nice to have other networks and relationships and opportunities that are happening out in LA all the time too. So I'm kind of grateful to be, I guess, between both worlds.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah. Was it easy for you to make that transition and to like make connections in LA, or did you or because you already had been out there so many times when you were younger, like
yes and no.
How did that go?
I mean, I was 10, so like I didn't really carry any relationships over, but I had visited LA quite a bit, like in college, and then I don't know. I think one of my strengths has always been like just creating a network. Like even when we moved to Utah, I was very quick to like. I've always been good at that. Like just finding.
You seem
people.
like a very people person, and like.
Yeah, thanks. I don't know. That's just been something that's always kind of been natural for me. Is like meeting people, finding opportunities, saying yes to things, networking, and so I kind of just dove like fully into that, like creating a new world out there. And it's been really fun. Like I have really great community in LA, which is sometimes not the case, you know. Sometimes people are like, everyone sucks out here, like everyone's whatever,
it's cliquey and
yeah. And there are definitely those people, but I think I went in setting the intention that I was going to find the people that were meant for me, and it was almost like anything else that didn't fit was kind of like repelled very naturally. I really quickly found out who were my people and who weren't, and just set the intention that I would find my people, and I have.
That's cool.
That's cool. That's been fun.
Do you see yourself living in LA or moving back to Utah? Like call it buying a home, or if you start a family, would that be LA or Utah?
I don't know. I've actually been wondering that, and I was like going to ask you about that at some point too, like because I know that you were in LA, and then you've obviously chosen to come here. I don't know. There was a time when I would have like died on the hill of like LA, like I'm gonna stay in LA forever. But I think I also was putting a lot of like my worth into like I'm in LA, like I made it in LA, you know. Yeah. And now I'm kind of at this place where I'm like, yeah, I'm in LA, but I could be anywhere. I don't have to be there. Anymore. No, it's definitely not my identity anymore.
Especially after COVID, that's like been a huge like you can be anywhere.
You can be anywhere. You do not have to be in LA.
You could set your phone number to be in LA, get a PO box in LA, and let everyone know you're originally from LA.
True.
Even if you're not, and you'll still get the LA calls. Really, it's the area code on the phone number is what I've realized.
It's so crazy.
If you're talking to producers, or if you're getting, because my sister went through the whole like acting LA, and same thing. She was out there really pushing auditions, and then the second her phone number was LA, if she was in Utah for a month with family and she got a call for something, no one knew she was in Utah or LA. They'd be like, "Hey, are you available for an audition? When is it? Okay, I'll be there."
Yeah.
And half the time the auditions aren't even in LA.
They're all self-taped.
Or they're self-taped.
Everything's self-taped.
So it's like now you really just need to have a phone number in LA.
Does the phone number thing still Does the phone number thing still apply though? Because like we ran out of
that's what
area codes.
Jenny was saying that in the other.
Make a new one.
Making crap up. Yeah.
But Jenny was saying that in her thing.
Yeah.
Like their area code's still LA, so when she calls people, that's what she was saying in our podcast, was like, I still have that LA number, so people associate me with like the LA film.
Excellence.
Yeah, she's also older.
Yeah, but I think that still goes with actors.
Yeah, okay.
You know what's interesting? So one of my friends who's a filmmaker, right when I got out to LA, I'd come back for Film Quest in Provo, and he told me that. He said the way that I know that you are like actually rooted in LA and you plan to stay is if you change your phone number. And I never did, to be honest. I still have a Utah
No, that was
number.
the first thing my sister
Interesting.
did because someone told her that. They're like, it was actually Adam Gaynor with Matchbox 20. He's a good friend of ours. But he was like, look, it's all facade. Get a P.O. box, change your area code. Everyone thinks you live in LA. And
So
I was
here's-
like, interesting.
I don't know. Here's my like counter argument to that. I think that maybe works a little bit if it's about the perception. But for me, it's far more about like my friends, my relationships, the people I know. Yeah, the network. The opportunities that I have in LA is 100% from the people that I have created relationships with.
Yeah.
So my only pitch to like, I don't know if I buy that so much. I think it is, if you're going to do LA, you should be in LA, is that people don't see you if you're not there. You're not getting invited to events. You're not going to parties. You're not going to things where you're meeting other
the
people.
social network.
Yeah, and that's a huge part of it. Like almost, everything I've done since I've moved there has been because of people I've met. And like, which, I think that's how it is in any industry, especially ours. But
No, I don't
Right,
disagree. I think
Yeah,
I'm coming
yeah.
more from
For
the perspective of like more what we see on like the film side, where a DP will come in from LA or a steady op will come in from LA, and the stigma is, oh, he's from LA,
Okay.
and then no one questions it. Everyone just goes,
Interesting.
oh, he's an LA guy, and
he knows
everyone
what he's
goes,
doing.
yeah, no, that's literally the thing is like if he's from LA, you kind of don't question it. And so essentially, the idea is like if you have an LA base, you're an LA guy.
Didn't mention that he's from a dumpster in LA. That's
Yeah.
where he lives.
That's the
but he's from LA, so he gets the job.
That's the joke.
That's
Yeah.
really
And like
funny.
we've talked about is like who knows if this DP or Steadicam act. The best quote, and I'm just going to bring it back, was from a DP from LA that we worked on with. That wasn't the best, but we were hiring a Steadicam op to come in, and he's from LA, and they hand him the resume, and he goes, "Oh, I don't look at resumes. I don't care what they've worked on. I want to see his Instagram."
What?
And so then he looked at his Instagram and saw all the LA stuff, and he's like, "Yeah, let's get him."
Like, I
It's
see
just-
the Hollywood sign. He's in.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That's literally like that's
Oh my god.
that's
Wait,
the
that's
niche.
actually
All about
so
perception.
crazy to me.
Well,
about
think
perception.
think
Yeah.
about how many times you've been on
Interesting.
set and they go, "Oh, they're from LA."
No, I know. It's definitely a thing.
I mean, there's a lot of bad filmmakers in LA.
That's the point.
A
There's
lot.
a lot of bad
broke
stuff
people
come out
in
of LA.
not getting hired for shit.
Well,
That's
I've
Yeah.
also found that there's like two different levels of filmmakers in LA too, like LA filmmakers. You have like all the people that like work on like all the independent stuff that
Yeah.
and they really don't know anything.
Right.
Like it's bad
Yeah.
kind of area, and then you have all the people that work on all the studio stuff.
Like the legacy.
And the
Yes.
gap
Their uncle
between the two is
yeah.
like the Grand Canyon of difference type of things, you know. But like this, but in Utah, we put that stigma on. It's like, oh well, they're from LA, and it doesn't matter if you're working on like that
They put the
stuff
Mars
or if you're
roll-
working on
You're in,
studio
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, you're just from LA, and so
which
like,
is
you're
why I
good.
go. Which is why I go. They're union. Because if you're union, you can't pull any of that bullshit, or
Right.
you're out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
interesting.
I think that's true for actors too, though. Like when I first moved there and I like took a class, I felt like I'm in a room of LA actors, you know. And then I like quickly realized, like, oh yeah, a lot of people come here and they maybe don't have to be here. Like,
Right.
I'm not gonna say shouldn't be here, but like it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean the thing that we think it means,
The
you know.
qualification
Totally.
of being in LA is getting in your car and driving
Yeah.
to LA.
Good job.
That's what it takes to be in LA. That's it.
Yeah.
Proud
Right.
of you. Anybody can do it. You
And
know?
for probably a few years, being broke, eating top ramen.
Totally.
And,
Totally. There's sacrifices, but
Yeah. I mean, that was me.
Yeah. I will say
LA's
that-
expensive as shit. I'm just
It
gonna
is.
say.
No, it is. I will say that I wouldn't trade the decision that I made. Like I wouldn't take it back. Like I'm so glad that I did that, and it has completely changed the trajectory of my life and the opportunities that I have had, and I'm very grateful for it. But like I definitely don't think that it is. It's not the be all end all. It's not what everybody says it is, and it's not this like immediate marker of success like we've kind of been taught that it is. You know, it's a path. It's a thing you can do. It's not the only thing you can do.
Totally.
So
No, I like that. And I think I'm not bagging on LA. I don't want my input or direction coming in from like, oh, screw LA or anything like that.
that's what it sounds like.
And I hope I hope it doesn't
I think you hate
though.
it, actually.
I
don't know.
really hope it doesn't because I agree to that. LA has brought me a lot of opportunities. People from there, amazing people.
Mhm.
I mean, learned YouTube and started YouTube, and the first time I ever picked up a camera was when I moved to like LA and was doing that
cool.
stuff. But it's just not the only answer. And I think for 4 years, I was convinced it was the only answer, or it was the only way to be successful in this world.
Yeah.
And now that I've like seen it all, I'm like, there's a whole world outside of LA. Like LA's nothing. I mean, go to Atlanta.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so true.
I mean, yeah. So once I kind of opened my mind, I was like, oh, okay, it's kind of the social media facade over there.
Right. Well, and like more and more stuff, even if like the, production companies in LA, so few things are actually filming in LA anymore.
Yeah.
Like
Very
all
little.
of my friends with production companies, and they're doing like big, budget studio stuff. They're not filming it in LA. They're constantly somewhere else because nobody wants to film in LA. It's too expensive.
Too expensive.
Permits are crazy. Like everything is crazy.
10,000 to shoot at this cafe for a half a day, or go to Utah and shoot in this cafe for free.
Mm-hmm.
Like
$500.
Yeah.
You know? It's
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Or you get locations for free because it's your friend and they're
Right.
stoked to have you in there. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just it's I don't know.
a different
I do think that like there's something to be said, like I said, about like the relationships of knowing the people where like the source of that is happening. But again, you don't have to be there to maintain that. So
Yeah.
anyways, we talk about that a lot clearly.
I was about to say, a lot of these things
Good
you can
point.
dive into though, because they go so in depth, and you can like really pick them apart, and then it gets kind of fun. But,
Yeah. Lots of
Get into the
opinions.
nitty-gritties.
yeah, then you can just ramble for hours on it.
Hell yeah. Well, this has been an awesome episode. I love this conversation.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you
is
so
awesome.
much for being on. Do you want to shout out your socials so that our followers can follow you?
Yeah.
Boost up those awesome numbers already.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. You can follow me on Instagram. It's at Kelsey Marie Edwards, Kelsey Marie Edwards. I'm also on TikTok and now YouTube. I have a podcast called I Do Too Many Things. That's about being a multi-passionate creative with big dreams. And that's kind of all of my social media. So if you're a fellow creative trying to find your way and navigate all of your interests and passions and be the best version of yourself, that's where to go. That's what I'm all about.
I love that.
Yeah,
I think
that's
there
my
are a
home.
lot of people in that boat that
Yeah.
are just here in this world existing.
Yeah. I don't know. I want to make my dreams come true, And I think that's very common for all of us in this space. So
Totally.
No, seriously, thank you for coming, and we're a big fan of Dakota over here. Thanks for
he's a good one.
whipping him into shape and before we got him.
Definitely.
Happy to do it. Just kidding.
Awesome. Thanks so much to you guys for watching.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank
Please
you.
like and subscribe. Check out some of our other videos, and also stay tuned for what we got cooking up next.
Peace.
See you in the next one.
Bye.